Hey everybody, welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
And me, Banshee, and this is your Weird Week. Hey, not bad.
All right. And of course, your Weird Week is the new continuation of an old post I used to create that tended to morph into more political or global kind of issues. It was more of a collective read that way. We took it offline so that Banshee could help me retool it and make it a little bit more interactive between us because we think that's what you guys like.
Well, we know that politics is important and, we don't use the tarot a lot. We do predictions once a year, twice a year sometimes, doing a 6-month follow-up and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So we thought we would do this weekly because there's just so many things happening all the time in the news. Totally. We're right now going to spend our time looking at the week of March 6th through 12th and what happened and how our cards may have, shown a little bit of what the week held for us. And I have to say, they were pretty accurate and spot on. The thing that has been really dominating the news cycle has been the release of January 6th film by Fox News, Tucker Carlson in particular. They released footage.
Oh, right.
To Fox News did through Tucker Carlson, giving a different spin on the January 6th insurrection, which I'm just going to call it that because that's what I believe it was. Mm-hmm. Not a tour, not a happy event. But at any rate, our cards seem to indicate this, what was going to happen. There's been a lot of fractionalization. Mm-hmm. There have been people pointing fingers. There have been people, even in the Republican Party who are not happy about the way that this is being spun by Fox News.
And just very recently, former Vice President Mike Pence even came out finally issuing his own critiques on what happened that day and the optics of it, one way or the other, and whose role's in it.
So let's look at our cards real quickly here and give you a brief synopsis. Our first card is the major focus, and we have the Lovers reversed. So clearly, I'm going to read what we had kind of pulled together on this. Clearly, in both cases, what we want to say first is cards last week seem to hit the target with two major items in the U.S. news. The release of Tucker Carlson's version of the January 6th insurrection, and we can't forget the information coming out of the Fox Dominion lawsuit. And of course, you may find other news stories that this could relate to, so feel free to think about the cards and what we're going to say.
Leave us your own feedback.
Yeah. But card one, the Lovers reversed, is clearly in both of those cases poor, unethical choices were made. In the January 6th story, we're led to believe that police aided and abetted the protesters who were attacking and injuring many of them. When in fact, we also found out that the police were outnumbered. They were trying to calm a very volatile situation as best they can because they were getting hurt and they were outnumbered. Okay. Carlson airing the version has really stirred up the division in this country, even within the Republican Party, as well as between the House and Senate and the deep divide between the Democrats and Republicans in the House of Representatives. As for the Dominion lawsuit, it may prove to be a very costly choice for Fox to have peddled election lies, knowingly for their own financial gain. Will this change hearts and minds of Fox viewers? Not likely many, but perhaps more advertisers might think twice. So then we had the second card is what will we find out, the mysteries, and we had the Queen of Wands reversed. In both cases, what we found out is bad actors behaving badly.
Mm-hmm. Over-ambitious, over-controlling, over-emphasizing all the bad aspects of personality or character.
In both cases, ego and a cold-hearted lust for power, control, and money. January 6th, Fox version released in order to try try to pull a pretty face on an ugly episode in American history. In Fox Dominion's case, all about greed, power control, who controls the narrative and audience, and keeping a greedy small man in power.
Right. With the release of various text messages between various players here, we found out that some of these people actually thought people on their own side were nuts and said so.
Card 3 is what other perspectives need to be considered, and we had the Nine of Pentacles upright. So January 6th rehash in Dominion Fox, basically, Carlson and Fox feel they have to keep giving their public what they want, just keep feeding more to keep the public comfortable and safe in their ideologies, and to help Carlson feel comfortable and safe taking advantage of all of this financially. But will this finally be their undoing as all of this is revealed for what it is? Will people start to question if their comfort zone is really that comfortable? Very Hallmark Nine of Pentacles.
Another way that I look at that too is that, of course, that could even express the idea of the behind the scenes players at the upper echelons. They're insulated from this. They're comfortable. They're just going to go about enjoying their day no matter what chaos they have actually been a part of.
And what about others in the Republican Party right now in regards to January 6th? Do they feel comfortable with this narrative? And I want to remind Mr. O that card 3 was the tarot of oppositions, which is why we could factor in both of the Nine of Pentacles, upright and reversed interpretations into this, which is why I think it fit perfectly.
And, an analysis of some of this that I was watching this morning, perhaps, or maybe it was last night, indicated that, like you said, viewers are not even hearing the other side on that news station. They're only hearing one aspect totally. And so they have no idea that the lawsuit by Dominion is even occurring. Or
if they're not listening to other news sources. All right, well, card 4, which took it even a level further, what the overall impact would be was the Tower upright. So, geez, no surprise this card, except seeing it upright maybe. The overall impact is that towers are crumbling. There's even more division if that could be possible. There's anger, resentment, bitterness, and of course, finger pointing. Carlson and Fox are getting a lot of blowback over both these situations. On the surface, things look pretty bad for them. Yet, will they lose viewership over this? The good news is there are takeaways from all of this and lessons we all can learn if we really want to. And we should, or the cycle will repeat itself.
Well, like Rome, a tower is not built in a day, and it's just not going to be crumpled in a day and rebuilt either. So this is still going to play out for a while.
And finally, what is the overall, what could win the weird week? Well, we kind of decide there was no winner in this. Ultimately, it was a Page of Pentacles reversed. Ultimately, we both feel no one wins the weird week in all of this. There's more stubbornness, resistance to learning what we need to learn from all of this. There's a lack of motivation or will to address it in constructive ways. This could be the beginning of more people digging in their heels and resisting necessary change. No growth indicated here.
Yes, it's a very stagnant kind of feeling with that card.
So, what could happen this weird week? I guess we're about to find out. Let's dive right in with our major focus and tone for this weird week with the Twin Tarot Oracle.
All right.
Which is a double major arcana. And one is upright, one is reversed interpretations. Let's see what we get.
And if you like your weird week, please recommend it to your friends. Please share it around. We need more exposure. We don't feel we are necessarily partisan in our views because we don't. But we do have, of course, specific feelings of our own. We try to keep this reading as objective as we possibly can.
But if we see the corollaries in the news, we're going to hit it like we see it. All right. Oh my goodness, it's negatory, reversed judgment. Well, we're off to a great start. I think there's just, more of the same in a way, a lot of criticism, a lack of growth or revitalization. People it's almost like, from last week to meme from last week, people kind of digging in their heels on things. Now, admittedly, this may not relate to that. This could relate to other matters. For example, like the Ukraine war, other things. It looks like the focus this week, though, theme is on, reverse judgment. What do you say?
It's kind of interesting. I'm going to go a little bit differently here just because
Okay.
I've been hoovering around Patheos and reading that there are a lot of articles recently about the questions of organized religion in our world's function, more or less indicating that maybe it's not so much persecution of the church, but a review of the church, which I like that particular
Which is
article.
like critique, but this is negative, this is
Yes.
negative.
Right, and that's what the critique is too. And I think that, people are maybe beginning to realize that some of the spiritual world is not helping them with the real world, and of course it always used to be that way, a better balance.
Well, I'll buy that for now. There is supposed to be a separation of church and state in the United States. I can't speak for all the world governments, but, that's not working so well lately here. That is not. And, we've always had our struggles with that concept, to be fair. All right, so what will we find out or see? The mysteries. And the mysteries will be the Secrets Tarot.
All right, and that's the Secrets Tarot here, so that's my shuffle here. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And of course, all our cards are pre-shuffled a little bit so that we can, make sure we're not pulling the same cards. Or I'm going to get rid of that light because I'm just not getting what I need there, so I hope that makes a better show. I think so. We're going to be a little bit darker, perhaps.
We're dark.
Well,
we're going dark.
So the Secrets Tarot is what we will find out or see, or perhaps just what we need to see.
Oh, you picked it up like me.
I did. And of course,
Wow.
It's the Eight of Wands.
Oh boy.
Upright. So what we may need to see is that things really need to activate. And we also need to really find direction and pinpoint with precision the necessary actions that we need to send energy with.
Well, I think what we need to see here is that some movement has to be necessary. Somebody's got to give in a particular situation. Maybe as far as communicate, maybe there also needs to be better communications, more rapid communications on particular issues that are of importance, whether it's a situation in the U.S., whether it's the Ukraine war, whether it's something on climate change. We're just going to have to see how this plays out this week, but definitely, there's a lot of, and it seems to me, at least in some sector, there is some drive, some energy related to making some changes or some moves.
And you never know, because of course it is one, so a lot of this may just be business and enterprise, so people may be finding ways to, or would hopefully want to find ways to bring opportunity along with all of that, but we'll just have to see.
Okay, what other perspectives need to be considered? And that is our shared deck of the Tarot of Oppositions. So I'll shuffle and give it to Mr. O to shuffle. And the Tarot of Oppositions, we can look at both aspects of the card. I tend to favor the side that, is on top, but we will factor in both aspects of the cards as we see fit.
In the use of the tarot, you can use it any way you wish. You can just go with whatever comes up right, whether it's the reversed image side of the card. That's the beauty.
Well, I know a lot of people don't read reversals. They just do right?
Right, but another suggestion is, of course, that between the two extremes of the upright or reverse meaning, there may be a middle liminal area, and so sometimes we try to see what that is too, if we can apply that to the situation.
So let's see what perspectives or other aspects need to be considered this week.
These are so hard for me to shuffle sometimes.
They're a little stiff. I kind of can do it.
I need the table for
Oh.
bracing. That's what I need. Oh, there we go.
Here, let me move these
Yeah,
out of
move
the
that.
way. Yeah, you can have more room if you need to.
One
do
more,
that.
and I think I've got it.
Right.
What other perspectives need to be considered?
It's the,
five.
oh gosh, can you believe it?
It's
It's
five,
the
right?
Nine of
Oh,
Pentacles
whoops.
again.
I am so sorry.
And is that upright? I believe it is.
Yes, it's the upright one.
Okay. So what is the what other perspectives need to be considered? Well, I think it has to do with economic security, maybe, and comfort, and stability. A sense of, that people get what, people feel they have achieved some, financial breakthroughs, maybe.
Well, there are stuff in the news.
That's a tough one.
There is stuff in the news about in this country trying to bring back some amount of taxation on the uber wealthy rich. And so to me, the suggestion with that liminal area is finding that middle point so that we don't have so many starving poverty people, but we don't feel like the rich are being so singled out or endangered. Is there a midpoint there? I personally don't necessarily know what I agree about that.
Do you know, so would you say that the other perspectives that need to be considered may have to do with need versus want or desire?
Right. Well, we could be talking about situations where we want to revise Social Security or revise windfall profits or revise even on an international level, the International Monetary Fund thing, the whole thing about the American debt ceiling. These are things that maybe are really drawing in a lot of opinions and thoughts. And of course, there doesn't actually seem to be a middle point in some respects.
I'm not sure I'm getting as cohesive a picture this week as we had last week yet, but
True.
let's continue. And we have to see how the week plays out. There are other things going on right now. There's an incredible climate disaster going on in California, where there's
Lots
just
of flooding.
Massive amount of flooding and people displaced and losing homes. This is pretty epic what's going on there right now, too. So I don't know if that's going to play into this at all. Card 4, what is the overall impact?
And that's from the Healing Light Tarot.
Yes. All right. Well, it's the Three of Wands. That's a nice card, upright.
The Three of Wands upright.
So, maybe there's going to be some long-range planning going on here that may have to do with economic issues. I'm wondering if this is leaning more economic. Not necessarily, though. It could be about other things. When I think about it here, maybe this could have to do with, land and Ukraine situation as well. But it looks as though some long-range plans are being discussed. So I don't know if there's any kind of economic summits going on, for example.
There's always something going on, but I do feel like it ties in with some of the other cards because I think it's saying that as we're moving forward, either nationally or internationally, a lot of restructuring, planning, as you say, needs to occur because there are just too many holes in various safety nets, and there's a lot of unrest. I don't think we've ever seen the points of inequity in various societies that we have. And we've been there before, and astrologically even we've been there before. So we need to do better for everybody.
Card number 5 is what could win the weird week. And for that,
it's the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot. It's a beautiful deck. Love using it. And it's mine, but it was a gift.
It was.
A beautiful gift. And I think overall the idea behind using various decks that maybe have cards that fit the themes you're looking at is a sound idea here, because sometimes the same card shows up but from a different deck, and I think that helps provide more emphasis and analysis. But I think also too, the imagery of the different decks kind of helps hone to some degree our sense of feeling or intuition about those cards and the situation they're trying, to talk about. All right, so with that being said, what weird wins the weird this week? And it's the 9 of Swords reversed.
Wow.
The 9 of Swords reversed. And I think that's saying is that maybe collectively we kind of have to toughen our skins a little bit to some degree, and we kind of have to look at our own sense of what our fears are or what we feel our interests are, and kind of find a way to reason that out rationally, the Swords clarity, to maybe overcome extreme emotional feelings here, because we can't really decide things clearly if we are emotionally very distraught.
Well, I kind of feel here that this 9 coming up at what could win the weird week indicates to me that if something can happen that can alleviate people's fears and anxieties, and if we're talking economics here, something that can ease, let's say, pressure on the markets, making people make rash decisions. Like, for example, I can think of something that happened in this last week that maybe we should watch how it plays out this week. A major business-oriented bank folded. One that funds a lot of small
Silicon Valley thing.
Yes, one that funds a lot of small business enterprises and different things, and it left a lot of people in a lurch who had most of their money in there, and so they can only get access to maybe FDIC protected $250,000 right now. So I mean, we got to see how that plays out this week. Maybe that will impact the markets one way or another, but it looks as though things are leaning towards the positive, that there could be something positive that happens that alleviates fears and anxieties, whether it's world issues, whether it's economic world issues or local issues, something in that manner.
I'm thinking it's mostly going to revolve around better thinking about those kind of things. And so I don't know if that comes from think tanks or agencies or other situations where we have the best and the brightest really trying to resolve financial worries, because they're going to probably happen at a world level.
Or federal governments, whether it's U.S. or others, make moves that allay some of the pressures and fears they're experiencing. We have to remember right now, too, in Great Britain, there's a lot of shortages of items right now. They're going through a period of financial instability as well. And so, maybe there'll be some things that happen this week that can at least help, modulate some of this stuff. How about we take a recap of this real quickly?
And I'm going to start off with the first one, saying that the major, when I put it together now, the major idea here could very well be that we are really reevaluating, judging systems that affect how people live, make money, spend money, save money, whatever that is, all of that stuff. It's more than just money.
Well, and the fact is that because it's reversed, hey, it's sharp criticisms, It's sharp criticisms. Does this deserve it? Possibly so. Maybe this also has to do with some of the, environmental disasters that have been happening lately, not just California, but with the train derailments, etc. And so here, with card 2, what we find out or see is that, we really need to things need to move. We need to stop dragging our heels and move forward. And I think that's really important here in this card. More communications are necessary. More agreements and cooperation is necessary.
Now, I would point out that this may be emphasizing business over government, and so sometimes you wonder, well, it could be, I mean, they could both be the same, but if it was more one than the other, then that could have different effects in terms of how the people are actually helped or not. But clearly it is about saying these are things that really need to be activated now.
I'm going to look at that a little more neutrally, but I see your point. Obviously wands are business-oriented cards. Card 3, what other perspectives need to be considered? And we've got that 9 of Pentacles, upright reversed. It's in the upright position, which emphasizes, we need to consider what makes people feel good, comfortable, secure, and feeling like they, that they are achieving, as opposed to always kind of scrapping and never feeling comfortable, never feeling like they have any hope for achieving success in their financial realms. I think all of this is going to be looked at, financial comfort and security for all.
I think that it really will be about pointing out the fact that there is such inequity, what can be done about it. Maybe there will be an emphasis on trying to resolve those issues.
This could also be about land issues and property. That's, kind of a heavy influence in this card as well. And because we could read it upright and reversed, we could say that, some people want something because they feel they are lacking something. I feel a sense of Ukraine here, and Russia wanting that land back. And, all right. And so card 4, the overall impact is that there could be some strategic planning, some long-term goals, maybe some standards are set that will pave the way for future, changes and growth.
So maybe in a lot of ways, whether it's Ukraine or other issues, we will find ways for people to come to the table and work out these situations or create plans for these situations. It may not mean everybody, but it will probably mean the people who really can be seen as honest partners in this work.
And so ultimately what could win the weird week is if we come up with a plan, we come up with a way to allay people's fears, make them feel less anxious, whether it's in the financial sector, whether it's about, nuclear war, avoiding nuclear conflict with, the major parties. Russia, we talk about Russia a lot, but of course there's the thing going on with the U.S. and China as well. So there's so many factors going on right now. We're just going to see how these cards, how the week plays out.
Yeah, where does this actually come from? We don't know. This may be, within separate governments. It may be coalition things, the G20, whatever. So it'll be interesting, and we will be looking in the news to see where this resonance goes.
And, this is at least a more positive, more encouraging, I feel, overall, thing going on here. So let's see if the news cycle brings us something along those lines.
Keeping our fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed until we see you again for another Your Weird Week. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.